Welcome to Growth Marketer Academy with Ryan and Andrea Eldridge.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Eldridge.
And I'm Andrea Eldridge.
And welcome to Growth Marketer Academy.
Today we're going to be talking about 5 Instagram marketing secrets.
That brands don't want you to know about.
So the thing about Instagram is I think it's easy to kind of just assume that they're kind of a non-player in
Well, it's Facebook's little brother.
In the marketing arena, yes, it's newly so. But, their user base is actually over 600 million people now. So it's gotten to be such a large group of people that it's really something that a marketer can't ignore. But it's kind of really important to talk first about that you can't just go to Instagram or even Facebook or any normal social marketing platform and just throw up an ad, because that's not really what's going to work.
Well, and we're recording this here at the end of summer, beginning of fall of 2017, and there was just a report that came out last week that said that most teens and young adults have abandoned Facebook entirely for Snapchat and Instagram. So if you're looking to target that market, then that's where you need to be. Facebook is for us old people now.
But the key thing about Instagram and social media in general is that you can't just do an ad. Really, what you're using these sorts of social media platforms for is for brand exposure and customer engagement, where you can do a great job about exposing large groups of people to your brand if you do it in the right, cool way.
And Instagram makes it exceptionally hard, since you can't post links in your posts, and it's really more about engagement. So it makes it a little more difficult. Whereas Facebook, you can write a blog post or a video or something and lead somebody back to your website. Whereas Instagram, you can't do that.
Well, and it's funny that you should mention the linking in your post, because that is actually our first secret. So you're right. You can't post in an Instagram post and have additional links. And you really shouldn't try to cheat it, because if you add a link to your photo or in the caption or in a comment, it just looks spammy. So just don't even go for that. But you can put a clickable link on your brand's profile section. And so it will appear like in the top of the Instagram post itself, near the text that you write. You do have one opportunity, and only one, to post a link. And so it's important that that link that you use in that section be as targeted as possible for your specific Instagram audience. So let's say you have an e-commerce site, for example, and you post pictures of your latest shoe line, for example, since we like to keep talking about shoes and selling shoes. And so you've got these amazing pictures of these great, awesome, fashionable shoes on your Instagram feed. And then the website that you link to is just your homepage for your brand. Well, that's going to cause your potential customer to probably get frustrated if the reason they wanted to click was to be able to buy what they just saw and looked cool. So you want to create a landing page that is dedicated to your Instagram content. And that's really going to be the best way to make the most use of that one link that you're able to have. The other option, let's say you're not an e-commerce site, would be to link to additional long-form content. So this would be something like if you're going to post a post about something that you find interesting, or it's not necessarily product specific, but is more a brand promotion, information about who you are as a brand. Your audience can then get more information by clicking on that link. So you want it to go to something like a blog, a newsletter, a webinar. You want to provide value in this section. You don't want to sell a service.
So if I'm selling tacos, for example, I'm not going to sell a lot of tacos on Instagram, just showing pictures of tacos and trying to get people to, get my $25 off coupon for, your big brunch type thing, right?
Direct purchases on Instagram are super rare. So you just really shouldn't even try to go that path so much, as what you're looking to do is to nurture your target audience when you're using a format like Instagram.
So couldn't you, and I'm not sure if this is in line with the segment, but couldn't you technically run a branding campaign talking about whatever your products or services are, or addressing pain points for your products or services. And then as people click on the link in your bio to say, oh, let's see what this brand is about or whatever, couldn't you then pixel those people coming over and then just retarget them with things that were on the Instagram page, for example? Like, let's say it was, again, we'll talk about a pair of shoes, a pair of purple shoes and they click the link, they come over and they look at the purple shoes, and now you can use marketing automation to say, hey, this person's interested in purple shoes, and put them in a pixel bucket to retarget them on other platforms like Facebook, Google, or elsewhere. So
that's certainly a great way to take what is ultimately a branding campaign and continue it using other platforms through a beefy enough marketing automation platform.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Because most people aren't going to spend time only on Instagram, right? They're going to go from Instagram to Facebook. They might go from Instagram to Snapchat, or from one of those other platforms to
and even Google
YouTube.
AdWords in terms of
Exactly.
seeing re-mentions of those shoes
Yeah.
that they saw on your
Because
Instagram.
if I saw those purple shoes on Instagram, I'm like, oh, those are really nice. Those are kind of cool. I wouldn't mind buying those for my wife for her birthday. And then the next thing I know, I'm over on YouTube checking out funny cat videos. And then, boom, I see, hey, look at this. You want to buy these purple shoes? I could be like,
Hey,
whoa.
wait, here's this purple shoes again.
Yeah.
It's like they're following me.
Now I'm cross-platforming. That's pretty cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
So another way that a lot of people have found success with Instagram is through hosting contests. Basically, what you're looking to do there is incentivize action. They accelerate the pace at which your user is likely to interact with your brand on a social media platform. And there's a little bit of science behind this, which I find kind of interesting from a nerdy perspective. So apparently the allure of a prize taps into people's competitive drive on the one hand, but it also triggers their loss aversion instinct, which is actually psychologically more powerful than the gain itself.
So is this kind of like old school, like an old school like campaign where I'm saying, hey, if you come over and like my page, you might win a prize? That
So
kind of
that's
thing?
one option. There's several different kinds of contests. I'd say the like to win is probably my least favorite option amongst the available contests. There's certain reasons why they work. For one thing, it's super easy to enter. There's a low barrier to entry. It requires very minimal effort on behalf of the person who's seeing your offer in order to engage. So your numbers can be really high in terms of your engagement on this type of a campaign. But the downside is that the quality of those entrants is usually
Yeah.
pretty low, because a lot of them are just liking just to win the prize, and they really have no interest in your brand whatsoever.
But so if you're a new brand and you're just trying to build your numbers, because nobody wants to be the third like on a page, right? And they sometimes you want to, especially if you've got, let's say you're running an organic post on Instagram that you're talking about, fancy cups, let's say for an example. You might want to run some sort of like or contest to get the engagement up on that post before you turn it into a paid post, because then if somebody sees it with the sponsor at the top, but they see that 578 people have liked it and it's had 212 comments, they're going to be like, oh, this is pretty cool. Whatever this is, I need to pay attention to what's going on here and maybe look at it a little longer.
Yeah,
That sound about right?
and a like to win campaign can certainly drive your follower numbers up, which for an early brand is really important on a
Crucial,
social
yeah.
media platform. The second option, which if it depends on whether or not you have something that could fall into this category, but would be basically a user-generated content contest. So that one's interesting because you actually get your own customer to promote your brand. So you've got obviously a lot of benefits there from a standpoint of social proof and goodness gracious, just free marketing, which is awesome. I mean, who doesn't love that? So this would be basically where you would create a unique hashtag for your contest, is what most people do. And then you would ask your entrants to post a photo of themselves using your product in order to enter the contest. So some of us may have seen this if you actually like Starbucks and coffee as much as we tend to do so. But they did a really successful campaign with this called White Cup Contest, where they basically asked engaged Starbucks lovers to take a white cup and make their own design on it and then post a picture. And they entered into a contest, which gave them the opportunity basically to be, if they won, their cup would be printed as a special limited edition cup.
Nice.
So you had a lot of people posting these pictures. They were beautiful creations, got a lot of buzz with very little actual monetary outlay from Starbucks to get this great promotion of their own users engaging. And so the public recognition and prize in many cases is still enough to instill a powerful motivation for these interested parties to enter.
Yeah.
So that's a big benefit of this type of product and contest.
Doritos did something like this for the Super Bowl a few years back, where they did different handmade commercials they would post. But there is something to be warned here, is that in the early days when this kind of started taking off, when people started talking about user-generated content, is if you're not very clear about what the contest rules are, or specifically what you want done for the content that you're asking your audience to produce, it can backfire. I don't remember the brand, but there was a brand that essentially did something like a user-generated contest, and they weren't very clear about the kinds of videos they wanted. And so people were spending a lot of time and energy building these videos, and then in the end, when they entered, their video was rejected because it wasn't the content they were looking for, or it wasn't clear who won, or it wasn't exactly clear, how winners were going to be announced. And a lot of people started turning against the brand, thinking it was a scam, or they were just using us for
they were just
free
bitter
content
for the fact that they spent all this time and effort. So definitely lay out the parameters of what this contest is going to entail if you're going to go down this path. And really, you've got that risk for engagement to a certain extent. You could have people who really love your brand, but they don't want to go to the time and effort that it's going to take to actually create some sort of entrant point. And they might be scared off if they think that they're going to put all this time into it and then just ultimately have a contest where the winner's selected at random. So one tip we would have would be to allow the public to choose your winner.
Good idea.
It leads to your contestants actually promoting your contest amongst their own friends and family too, in order to garner votes. And so you kind of have a win-win.
Yeah, if I put 20 minutes into creating a video for a brand talking about their cups or whatever, I'm going to tag every single person I know, every friend I can possibly think of, and say, hey, come vote for me so that way I can win. And now instead of engaging with one user, I'm engaging with their entire social network. So that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, in a way that I think their friends and family are going to be more likely to engage with your brand because they see that their friend or family member has gotten so impassioned by your brand as to actually participate.
Yeah, I could see this for not just e-commerce or product sellers, but I could see this for restaurants too. So you could do something like make your own pizza, or and come up with, or with the eating competitions that are somewhat popular, and that guy who ate 12 million hot dogs in 10 minutes or whatever it was. I could see, sort of like the Heart Attack Cafe in Las Vegas, where they say if you can eat this whole hamburger, then it's free, that kind of thing.
And you have a huge opportunity for what people already post anyway, which is pets and babies. I mean, if you think about if you can integrate your brand or your product in an opportunity to say, show your dog using our chasing our ball around the park or something like that, and then have the public choose which one they thought was either the best representation or the cutest or the, any number of opportunities.
Yeah, democratizing it certainly makes it feel like the brand isn't going to cheat by choosing, the professional image that was done by some fancy guy they were trying to get anyway. So,
and then you get the added engagement of the voting process from potentially people who might not put the effort forth to enter the contest itself, but will still engage with voting on who they think is the best. So a couple tips there for contests in terms of driving engagement. A third kind of contest would be the mention a friend contest. So this is the one that a lot of people now, or a lot of brands on Facebook have been starting to integrate with, which the idea is that in order to enter, the person who sees your post has to tag a friend. And the intent there is to get the tagged individual to become a follower of your brand. You've got a social proof there of the fact that they're seeing that their friend or their family member tagged them. And so it's something that they find to be relevant, something that they think their friend or family might enjoy. So you have exposure to what is likely a somewhat targeted audience of potential new engagement. Downside there being, most people aren't going to tag more than one or two people, so it really does cap your reach there on that type of contest. So we are on to our tip number 3.
Boy, this is just an Andrea-dominated
I know, right?
podcast, but that's cool.
It makes it sound like I just love Instagram.
She
and
knows
the
everything.
truth is I'm not a huge Instagram user, but I know a lot about how to market on Instagram. So, hey, there you go. So the number 3 tip on our list of 5 is to run multiple highly targeted accounts. So when it comes to certain brands and certain products in particular, you know that you have a different audience for a different product or service that you may sell. So let's take the example of, for example, L'Oreal. L'Oreal, a beauty care product, it creates hair products, makeup products, skincare products. They have a separate Instagram account for each of their product lines in order to be able to more highly target their message. It lets you segregate your content into different, more relevant categories so that you're not turning off users that are interested in nail design, for example, with a bunch of additional posts about hair accessories. And you can sometimes obviously cross-pollinate to try to interest your existing user base in these other product lines.
L'Oreal, don't they have a men's line of products for men's skincare men and hair care men? And so I'm not going to want to look at a lot of pictures of foundation and fancy stuff for women. I'm going to want to look at stuff just for me. Or I can see that.
Having your own separate Instagram account allows you as a customer to follow the specific Instagram account of the
L'Oreal
product line
men
you're interested in
versus L'Oreal women
or
L'Oreal teen.
The brand or the brand as a whole, which could cause you to be really hesitant to follow that brand if you know that a lot of what they're promoting isn't going to be something that interests you.
That makes sense.
This also works for brands that have different geographical locations, whether it be international or even just different cities. Whole Foods actually does this really well because they've got a Whole Foods Chicago and a Whole Foods Miami, and for each of their accounts, they highlight local food events. They are able to promote organic products, which obviously is kind of aligned with their brand character. So it gives them the opportunity to really specialize their message to the audience that's most likely the content they're most likely to be interested in. So that on their Miami page, they're promoting, cocktails and beach treats, and on their Chicago page, it might be more like Beer Fest and more kind of comfort foods, for example. So it gives you the opportunity to really specialize your message.
So multiple Instagram accounts, either geographically based or product based, so that way you can really segment and target your audience just a little cleaner.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
The fourth tip for Instagram success is to serve exclusive content. And what I mean by that is basically give opportunities to your Instagram followers that you don't give anywhere else. This really gets a number of different benefits. It fosters a feeling of belonging amongst your followers. Everybody wants to feel special, so you don't want to just have a large group of followers and then not make them feel that there's any benefit for them to actually follow your page. You want them to be excited about something that they're getting that someone else isn't maybe getting.
So if you're a clothing line, you might show like several accessories that go in a particular picture or something like that. Is that kind of and that would only be on Instagram. You wouldn't see that same post on Facebook or elsewhere. Is that ultimately?
There's a couple different ways that you can kind of target this type of exclusive offer. You can do or exclusive material. You can do an exclusive offer. So that would be like an Instagram specific discount, for example. So that would also potentially give you the benefit of increasing your exposure, because if you can only get this coupon on Instagram and your followers get the coupon and they want to be able to offer it to friends or family that might benefit from it, it gives them that motivation to have now those additional people become followers in order to get access to those discounts. So, and in addition to doing exclusive offers, you can do dedicated flash sales, which is a nice opportunity as well, some sort of limited time offer that you are really only exposing your followers to, and that they know that following your brand on Instagram is the only way that they're going to get notified of these flash sales that are limited time and maybe with some sort of exclusive discount, an exclusive offer that you don't give someplace else.
So it's a lot like what Snapchat does. Is Snapchat has the posts expire after a certain period of time, and you'll never get them back. And so bringing that into Instagram and saying, hey, this is a limited time, creates that urgency, the desire to keep track, and every time a new post comes in, they'll want to look at it, especially if they missed one that was really great. Yeah. They're going to pay attention more. That makes sense.
Well, and in the same way that Snapchat's ultimately using that to drive user returns to their website, you're ultimately using that same urgency motivator to encourage followers to stay active with your brand and stay engaged. Another way that you can do exclusive content on Instagram is to do what you would term a sneak peek. So that would be something like what you started to mention about if you've got a new brand, and I'm sorry, not a new brand, but maybe a new product line, a new item that you're going to show exclusively to your Instagram followers, some little secret about what's coming next. I think again, Starbucks has used this in the past when they've kind of teased their upcoming drinks. I think that unicorn drink was a big Instagram thing.
Yeah.
So it builds curiosity, it builds hype, and it can, in certain cases, even increase the demand before the product even hits the market. So
I can even see kind of like doing if you're specifically just a brand rather than we're going to hear sirens coming by right now, so we're going to let that go. Okay. What's kind of interesting is, let's say you're not necessarily selling a product, but you're more of a service-based company, and you're using Instagram as branding rather than selling a direct service or whatever. You can do kind of exclusive behind-the-scenes type stuff. So one of the TV shows we do, which is Good Day Sacramento, they do that currently, where they'll do live streaming from Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat and kind of give you an exclusive behind-the-scenes, which keeps you coming back and looking at their posts. And so you could do the same thing as a business. You could say, behind the scenes of either a product launch or a specific event or just an in-house meeting where you're talking about the next product line that's coming out, something along those lines.
Yeah, that's actually the next part of the exclusive sneak peek idea, would be a behind-the-scene look at everyday life in your company. There's a lot of benefits to that. It really humanizes your brand. It makes your followers build an emotional connection with your company and your brand, which is really big these days. And one of the big things that you're using an Instagram account to do is to build brand loyalty through engagement with the idea that people aren't looking at Instagram for connection with a company. They're looking for connection with a feeling, connection with an emotion. And that's ultimately what the whole photo-based platform is designed to do. And so use that to your advantage and show yourself as more than just a nameless company or a faceless company. So like, for example, you can, if you have a movie night or you have a sports party, show where your company and the people who work for your company have similar interests and are very much like the people that are ultimately following along. And it makes the followers feel as though they're part of a bigger whole and really have a stronger engagement with your brand.
Yeah, I think that works great with the idea of, again, segmenting your different Instagram feeds, because, for an example, if I'm interested in following a brand and I like their products, but I think that I don't really care about the inner workings of the company. I don't want to be constantly inundated with posts about, what they had for lunch today. I'm going to be like, this is annoying. But if I want that information, if I happen to find a brand that I really like and I want to follow Tim Cook around while he's touring factories in Asia, I want to be able to do that. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily just need Apple is releasing the new iPhone. If I can follow Tim Cook around for a few days, I think that would be pretty sweet. So yeah. I could see, but again, segmenting that out, because not everybody's going to want to see, you're behind the scenes. You got a new cereal in the kitchen. That sounds wonderful.
Or just do it every now and again, which I think is another way to achieve that objective. With most of these ideas, obviously an overarching understanding is don't do the same thing all the time. With social media, the more they see only the same types of posts from you, the quicker you're going to lose your followers, because they're going to get bored and frustrated with seeing, oh, hey, look, it's another flash sale, just like yesterday's flash sale.
What if I just post different Garfield cartoons with the days of the week? It's Monday again.
Yeah.
What if I did stuff like that, or inspiring quotes with like rocks stacked on top of each other with the river behind it? Wouldn't that be nice? I just do that every day.
Tempting.
No? Okay.
No. Yeah. Okay, so our fifth tip, your last tip, is to partner with supporters who champion your brand. Yeah. Now, obviously, I think at this point, we'd all be naive not to mention influencers. Everybody has heard of what an influencer is: someone who, in your specific community or your specific niche or your specific space, or even who happens to have a voice that resonates and is popular with your targeted audience. Yeah. That would be an influencer, someone who has got a sizable following of people who you would like to reach, who ultimately you would like to see your product or service presented in a positive light. And
finding those people is actually a lot easier than you might think. Most of us think, influencer, I got to get freaking Kim Kardashian to talk about my diet shake or something, and you don't have to. So let's say you're in a small town in Midwest Kansas, right? You're going to have influencers in that town that are exclusive to just your town. And so on Instagram, you essentially just type in the keyword that you want, and then you can narrow it down by geographic area. So if it's shoes, or if it's HVAC, or if it's whatever it is that the keyword that you want, and then narrow it down by your geographic area, you can find influencers. It'll instantly pull up a list of the most popular posts that day. And then all you've got to do is just DM each one of those influencers. If somebody's got 600 likes on a post they did about being near the river, and you're like, okay, that doesn't seem all that exciting, but freaking A, they got 600 likes, so you can DM that person and say, hey,
and
I'd
look
like
at their
for you
number
to...
of followers more
Yeah.
than just their number of likes. So.
Well, if you see their post and they've got 600 likes on a particular post, you know that post is engaged with somebody, and that means they're doing something to keep people looking at them. Nobody's just going to accidentally get 600 likes on a particular picture. So using that
599, that's pretty common.
Yeah. But using that methodology, you can target all the influencers in your area on a smaller scale. And these people aren't looking for $50 or $100 per brand mention. These people will just be excited that you're contacting them and saying, hey, I saw your post and I'd like for you to talk about my brand. Would you be interested in me sending you a sample product so you can talk about it, or come into my restaurant and try my braised artichoke hearts?
So yeah, I mean, obviously your kind of your Instagram gold here would be to have someone mention your product or service in a way that it appears like it's just basically an honest appraisal or review of your product that is not going to sound like some sort of paid promotion, because if it's paid promotion, then no one's getting anything out of that. If you were looking to find influencers in your niche, but maybe not specific to a smaller geographical area, there are some analytics tools that you can use. Ninja Outreach is one of them, TrendSpotter. These are resources that you can use, again, to just find influencers that are niche specific instead of just market specific.
And we'll put links to those in the show notes, as well as we have a blog post up at squirreldigitalmarketing.com/blog. You'll be able to see our post on this, and we'll have links to that there too.
Absolutely. The other thing, so for me, I'm not a hugely inclined towards influencers personally. I think that you can end up in a position where, again, someone who's constantly only promoting products or services, you can kind of end up where their followers get a little stale to the things that they're mentioning, because whether that specific post sounds as though it was paid or not, I think it becomes very clear very quickly when an influencer starts to accept products and services for free in order to exchange for a review. So one option that I actually really like is partnering with a charity. I think this can work really well if your target audience is socially minded. So a lot of younger generation focus has to do with whether or not you're a good company at your core. And when it comes to branding, that's ultimately what you're wanting to do, is to drive engagement on an emotional level with your target audience. And so millennial consumers are particularly socially aware. They like to associate with brands that are either socially responsible or have a positive environmental impact. And so one of the ways that you can do this, in addition to obviously donating to a campaign or a cause that's aligned with your potential customers' values and missions, when you do that, it attracts their attention and it forms an emotional connection with your brand, which is really beneficial. But you don't necessarily have to be affiliated with a specific charity to get this benefit. You can donate either time or resources. You can hold a fundraiser that benefits someone or a specific organization. You can send your employees on community service trips. The goal here is really to win public goodwill and to sway opinion. So you're not going to be looking for measuring engagement, measuring ROI. You're going to seem disingenuous if you go down that path. Obviously, it's Instagram, so you're going to be posting images of your process here. One good example here was where Toyota, they partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of America, and every time a follower to their Instagram account posted a selfie with the tagline "Selflessy," they gave $50 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. So
$50?
$50 for
Wow.
every time someone posted a selfie with that hashtag. So it really obviously gave some motivation for engagement on the Toyota USA brand for those people that might otherwise not have been motivated to do so. They will be more likely to be motivated knowing that their action benefits an organization that they want to support than just benefiting Toyota as a whole.
It's a really good example. It's different than just Toyota simply saying, hey, get $500 off or 1.8 financing for blah, 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 and trying to get you to buy a Prius from Instagram. This is giving you something and you'll be like, yeah, I can really stand behind Toyota because they care. And look, they just gave $50. $50. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that.
So, I mean, really the conclusion when it comes to Instagram, we've gone over 5 little tips that can make you really make the most of this social media platform that can be challenging. Instagram definitely offers some unique challenges to the business market, but it also offers some unique opportunities for engagement that I think that you don't have access to on other social media platforms.
Yeah, especially if your target audience is an Instagram user, not a Facebook user, or you have a product or service that really lends itself to that visual medium.
Yeah, that in particular.
Yeah, or short videos, because I think you can do 15-second short videos on Instagram in your stories, which also is really engaging, especially if you can string them together and tell an actual narrative for a specific day. So that's really good.
Well, and I think it's important to point out that you can't necessarily get off the hook just thinking, well, my target audience isn't young, or my target audience isn't really using Instagram, because Instagram is getting more mainstream, and if anything, it's going to probably somewhat take the place of not necessarily take the place, but go the similar path to Facebook now that Facebook has purchased Instagram, of getting more mainstream users, whereas kind of the cutting edge, I want to only be on a, unique social platform that isn't crowded, those users will probably fall off to a certain extent, and it'll become a mainstream platform. So you should get your foothold in now before it becomes crowded.
Yeah, it's the same pattern we saw with MySpace, Facebook. It's going to continue this cyclical pattern. So yeah, if you're not on Instagram now, it's a great time for you to start preparing before your audience does show up there if they're not currently.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for spending the time with us today to learn some more about Instagram and how to market more effectively using that unique social media platform. I'm Andrea Eldridge.
And I'm Ryan Eldridge.
Thanks for listening and watching Growth Marketer Academy.
See you later.
This has been Growth Marketer Academy with Ryan and Andrea Eldridge.